Thank you very much to Florian and our range of incredible speakers. That was an absolutely fascinating discussion about the state of digital signage now and where it's going to go in the future. And Florian, will be seeing you later and looking forward to it. Now, it just never stops. We have a fantastic segment coming up, and it's the Startup Nation. And this is all going to be about looking at the sort of technology that should be on your radar. So I'm going to hand you over to our main man, Ma.
Thank you, Callum, and welcome everyone to the Startup Nation. My name is Maur and I'm editor at TNW. Today we'll hear from 4 amazing startups that are disrupting the digital signage space. First, we'll hear a 3-minute pitch from each startup. Then we'll have a collective panel with all of them, where we will discuss how the ecosystem will help companies maximize the benefits of a digital signage investment. You can also ask them a question yourself, so don't forget to drop it in the chat.
Waiting for my slides, and unless they're shown somewhere else. There we go. If you can put it to the next one, please. So, whilst global powerhouses like Microsoft and Apple are focusing on smart personal devices, we need to have a rich understanding of people and their physical behavior to create smart spaces. Therefore, Advertima Smart Signage introduces a GDPR-friendly real-time data flow that enables our customers to make better informed near-time digital decisions based on real human insights. And we call this the human data layer. It is what connects digital solutions to the physical world, creating synergies and opportunities with smart spaces. It holds accurate and qualified data that enables actions and gathers insights for our clients to improve their operations. So why does data matter? It has often been stated that data is the new oil, but data is truly worthless without the right purpose. Without a use case that is relevant, data will not improve your operations, your products, nor your service levels. As a little side note, I heard beacons was mentioned just a few minutes ago, and this is a good example of this. If you don't have the right purpose behind your project, it will not be successful. So data needs to be contextualized to bring incremental value to any business. This is what Advertima does better than anyone. Therefore, we have 3 clear purposes we focus on for our Advertima Smart Signage solution. If you can go back 1 slide, please. The 3 clear purposes are use cases that we use. 1 is increase in-store sales. 2 is to improve available marketing mix for brands selling products in those stores and bring in advertising budgets from them. And 3 is to introduce third-party advertising in high audience reaching grocery stores. So why is this important to the industry? Well, we play by the fundamental rules of any successful business, supply and demand. There's currently a huge pent-up supply of audiences that the advertising industry is unable to monetize. And with Advertima Smart Signage added at the very core of their operations, we make these audiences available in an innovative and auditable way. Now, what do we mean by that? It means that we can verify the performance of the advertisement campaigns. So Advertima solves the problem of data verification and why audience analytics as an add-on doesn't work for advertising purposes. And therefore, we stand out from the competition in implementing lasting change with our whole product thinking. In short, we have introduced a way to optimize the advertising value chain by automating the process, cutting out the middleman, and connecting retailers directly to the buying side of the industry. I think I have 1 more slide, slide number 5. I know that I ran out of time, but I'm not sure if I had my full 3 minutes. If I can have 30 seconds, I would be very happy. We bring 3 main values to the table that makes Advertima stand out. We bring better solutions with our real-time human data layer. We bring a thorough understanding of what business models is needed to bring commercial value to all stakeholders. And finally, an end-to-end solution that solves real-life value problems. So we are the first company to revolutionize the use of digital signage networks by bringing significant advertisement revenue to create measurable return on investment to retailers. We're signing deals with the advertisement industry, and we're really making sure that our product and our solution is added to the very core of what these advertisers are trying to achieve. So we're not really just slapped on, as a retrofit into a current structure. And this is how we achieve large-scale rollouts and avoid
Sorry about that mess, but we'll hear more from you in the panel later on. But it was a great presentation. I'm really interested in your solution. Now we'll hear from Daria Fedko of WeAR Studio. Take it away, Daria.
Hi, hello. It's good to be here. Thank you for invitation. And I think I can start with my slides, if you can help me with that. No, it's not my slide. Yeah, 5 years ago, I fell in love, and we can go next. And here is an intro. I fell in love with XR technologies. We can go next because it's fully immersive, because it totally extends the real world and user experience. It turns communication into more visual and spatial format, and it enables engaging story living instead of just storytelling or story listening. And it makes the working experience on the different manufacturing objects more safer and faster. And it gives a totally brand new data types on user behavior, motivation, and decision-making processes. So hello again, my name is Daria Fedko. I'm a founder and CEO of WeAR Studio. It is a creative studio that specializes in AR, VR development for specific business objectives. We work with the big names as well as with the small startups, and we can go next. Here is a list of some of the industries we work with. I'm sorry for this small text. Like, we work with the 5G and telecom, with the retail, PR, manufacturing, and many more. And let's go next. I will show you a few examples of our work so you can get the clear vision of what we do. Can you please turn next so the video will play? Yeah, this is the experience using 5G and augmented reality combination. We created the AR platform for location-based experiences, empowered with the 5G in Norway when they launched the 5G with the Telenor company. We had a simultaneous 64 videos streaming at the same time, and we had the lag only 1.3 seconds. That was a big win for us 2 years ago. Then we can go next and then play. Yeah, this is the digital twin of a vessel. We also work with the Microsoft HoloLens platform, and with the data visualization through this platform, we created a digital copy of a vessel and parsed data from different sending units and sensors to visualize the all data about the technical statement, all the units in this vessel in one place, because they usually have different interfaces for it, but we combined it all in one place and visualized in 3D, because for a human being, it's more natural to perceive the information in 3D format, and especially when it comes to the big data. And the next slide is the virtual training for crane operators. We did it to make it safer and easier to educate people how to work with the complex machinery. I think I will add something more.
Sorry again, Daria, but we will talk more later in the panel. Now, thank you for a great presentation, and I'm really looking forward to more of these 3D projected environments. Now, let's give it up for Germán León of GESTOOS. Over to you, Germán.
Hello, everyone. My name is Germán León. I'm the Chief Experience Officer and founder at GESTOOS. So if we can put my slides, please. Thank you. There you go. Play that video. GESTOOS is an artificial intelligence that allows cameras and spaces to see and understand human behavior in motion. We're specialized in automotive and digital signage. Next slide, please. Trusted by multiple brands around the world, they're using our technology to be able to enhance the retail and physical experiences at their shops, as well as in-car use cases. Next slide. We are basically in these two platforms, digital signage and spaces, as well as transportation and mobility. Next slide. The objective of our technology is to first increase sales and brand awareness by reducing touch emulation increasing surface efficiency, and obviously safety. We do two main use cases, which is activity monitoring as well as behavior detection. Next slide. Right here, you can see one of our applications of the touchless technology. This is actually a panel that's been using the Intuiface UI. And through a simple camera integrated into the display, you can turn any touchscreen into an air touch screen, and with no problems whatsoever in terms of hygiene and COVID-19. Next slide. We don't stop there. We actually detect accidents, somebody falling and dropping their phones. Next slide. Social distancing, particularly key these days for COVID-19. Next slide. Danger situations, such as somebody, in an elevator, possibly falling. Next slide. Complicated situations like someone smoking in an enclosed environment, like an elevator. Next slide. Vandalism, which is one of the key elements that sometimes changes a lot of the ROI for digital signage in general. Next slide. Robbery and theft. You can see right here when somebody's taking someone's bag in an elevator. Next slide. And ultimately violence. So we can see if someone's been attacked or not. Next slide. Our solution is customizable, plug and play, and ready to go. We're hardware agnostic. We have a camera vision module that is determined depending on the use case, as well as supporting our AI edge technology with the dashboard and integration with mobility or mobile applications. All of this is GDPR compliant. We do not take any information from the users, but we do recognize every single individual in a private manner, respecting their identity and privacy. Next slide. This is one example of how you can combine a user interaction with their mobile interactions in a physical retail space, where we can see all the different average detections. Next slide. So we have had multiple success cases that I'm happy to explain later, and I think I ran out of time. So thank you all for this presentation. Happy to share more in the panel.
Terrific stuff, Germán. Now, for our last pitch before the panel, we move over to Geoffrey Bessin of Intuiface. The floor is yours, Geoffrey.
Thanks for having me. As the slides come up, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Intuiface, a software platform providing teams of any skill set a no-code approach to digitally transforming the physical space. Not the web or mobile apps. We're talking about audience engagement in the store, the museum, the trade show, the workplace, places where human-machine interaction is the key to project success. Next slide, guys. Thank you. Here's our elevator pitch. With Intuiface, teams can effortlessly create, deploy, and analyze extraordinary data-rich digital content responsive to touch, gestures, sensors, speech, computer vision, and more, all without writing code. It's the next generation of digital signage and an inevitable evolution of traditional one-way digital communication. Everything you see, you've skipped a slide, guys, but it is what it is. Everything you've seen there's a video here that if you watched it would show you that everything was created without writing code, and it's supporting virtually any kind of interactive technology, despite reducing development costs by 60% and timelines by 80%. You can go back to the Wysiwyg slide, guys. So we start with Wysiwyg, or what you see is what you get experience authoring editor. You'll have full control over every single pixel of the design, the storyboard, the layout. There are no template or pre-built app restrictions, and you can use all of your existing media. It's an amazingly fun and powerful approach to interactive experience creation. Next is Intuiface's ability to create without coding, real-time bi-directional connections with any web API, which means you can work with tens of thousands of public and private APIs, from weather and sports scores to your in-house ERP application to the entirety of the Internet of Things. Critical for interactive applications, regardless of the approach, is the ability to identify triggers and to respond to those triggers. Triggers could be a touch, a spoken command, a gesture, an RFID ID, or more, and Intuiface makes it easy to define this input behavior. The actions, the array of possible responses to those triggers, is virtually infinite, And it is this enormous flexibility that stands as one of the ways Intuiface is a breed apart. We support 7 different operating systems and easily facilitate remote deployment and player management. It's built to scale from 1 to hundreds of screens and can be accessed from any web browser. Native to Intuiface is data collection and visualization, which we call Intuiface Analytics. The beauty of interactive content and real-time data connectivity is you actually have something to measure, which means you can gauge content effectiveness and build business insight. We're the only platform in the digital signage industry to have ISO 27001 certification. And we just released a really cool digital interactivity landscape poster, which we can talk about later. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Geoffrey, and the rest for your fantastic pitches. And welcome to the panel. Now, I'd like to remind everyone at home that you can ask questions for our terrific panelists in the chat. So don't be afraid to drop some hard questions in there. I know our panelists will love it. So if we can get the panelists up on screen. There we go. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Now, let's start with you, Mes. You spoke of the human data layer earlier. Would you say that the future of digital signage is hybrid? Are we missing some of that hybridization at the moment?
I think it's important in any kind of setting when the intention of digital signage is to communicate with people, it seems a bit sort of far-fetched to not take people into the very heart of the decision making of what content to play, whether that is what content to play next or how to optimize use of inventory or whatever it is. You know, the audiences would be the main purpose of any content anyways. And we help drive that, you know, both in terms of proactive planning and scheduling, but also in terms of evaluating post-performance.
That's really interesting. And now we actually got some questions coming in from the audience. Let's start with a question from Charles to Daria. He asked, how can you monetize this technology?
Well, usually the monetization is the question for each specific business case. For example, one of the cases we've done, it will answer the question. It was the augmented reality application for a gas station chain. And we did the augmented reality on the coffee mugs. And the monetization was through the integration, this AR with their loyalty program. And then people who were interacting with this augmented reality experience, they were through the game, they earned some points, and then they exchanged it for the discounts for the gas and different food and beverages. And as a result, we sold through this AR experience more than 300,000 liters of gas. So this is the obvious sales boost and the monetization system that works in this specific case. And when it comes to all the different businesses, it's the open question.
Okay, so it's on a case-by-case basis. Thank you so much for that. Now, Geoffrey, you got a question here from Benjamin Liebenberg. He kind of asked about, points out that might be a missing point in securely distributing content to and from the panel. So he mentions that displays use different operating systems. So how do you protect the data that's being displayed? So basically securely distribute this data to all these connection points.
Benjamin, for that question. Well, in part, that's one of the reasons we invested in that ISO certification. Nothing puts people to sleep better than talking about ISO certifications, but the one that we were able to acquire is an information security standard. And so what it does is it imposes a set of restrictions on our infrastructure that by its very definition is to protect that data. So that's certainly part of our particular solution. And also, of course, a lot of data is not stored on the device. It is coming through the cloud and thus over the wire, and that's typically encrypted packets of data. And so there's nothing to sniff either. And so the combination of the two should create a fairly secure installation.
All right, well, security certificates can certainly be interesting when they are useful. Now, we've got a question from Annabelle Rodriguez to Germán. She asked, is the software blind to the elevator's controller, or do they interact and an interface? And is there any interface needed, or should it be customized somehow?
No, that's a great question. No, it's not. So for an elevator controller, basically we're mapping the area where the buttons are, and we can basically replace the actual physical analog button with a command that is triggered by the movement of the gesture. So what we do really well is detect the fingertip, regardless of whether you have a ring or even if you don't have the knuckle. We can identify every single fingertip in any person and map it into a specific area. Ultimately, what we're doing here is replacing the analog panels of all the elevators in the future.
Okay, well, I think that's going to be really interesting, especially now that we are a bit more aware of all the touch points that need now in COVID times. But unfortunately, I think we're running out of time. So I'd just like to mention to the audience at home, don't hesitate to reach out to our panelists after this event is done. But I'm gonna leave with one last question. So we have another question from Germán. Can your software understand different levels of aggression and violence? Because it seems like there you would kind of need a human input at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So we provide an end-to-end solution. We also have a tool we call the GESTOOS Creator, which is a tool that allows any type of use case to be trained. So the users can, not only users, but companies can train the AI and improve those models. So levels of aggression will be determined based on what we call anomalies. So initially, anything that resembles a type of aggression can be trained, as well as more complex types of aggression. So it's the idea with the AI is in a semi-supervised manner, you can determine the different use cases and types of aggression. The key thing here is that we detect every anomaly, we flag that anomaly, and then we label that anomaly, and we do that in a semi-supervised manner. So after that has passed the sort of analysis, it's back into the AI learns, and then you can determine those different levels and take action on top of that.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you for that. Well, actually, I'm getting messages here that we get a few extra minutes because of the technical difficulties that we had earlier. So back to you, Mez. Now, your company is thinking a lot about how people interact in physical space and what they're doing, but have you seen any difference in the interest in your technology after COVID? Because now we are basically not allowed to be in physical spaces. Are people still interested in your solution?
Yes, I think, again, it's back to the use case. What is the purpose of the solution? We know, for example, this isn't our solution, but we know that a few people jumped on the boat to get people counting, to limit the number of people in the stores. It's a really simple solution, but it solved, an immediate problem for retailers. For us, because we're really focusing on the revenue generating part of the content, so really on the advertising and in-store sales side, for us, that it's actually been helpful in many ways. On one side, it's been helpful because the advertisement business has been quite challenged over the last year, with the normal status quo has been completely turned upside down. And they've been looking for new opportunities to verify the performance of campaigns, to put budgets and so on. On the other hand, it's also enabled us to really focus on grocery retail, which is, it's been super stable. Their audience level, medium-sized chains in Europe have the same level of audiences in just a few weeks as the biggest airports in Europe. So for us, it's been really stable. But the key thing for us has been to really identify which stakeholders are there that are needed to bring commercial value into the project. We don't want to just be an innovation thing. We don't want to just be played around with. We want to be at the forefront of adding value for everyone involved. And that's what we're doing.
All right, thank you so much. Now we unfortunately don't have any more time. I want to thank you all for taking the time to share your ideas with us here today. And for everyone at home, reach out if you find their ideas interesting. I think you can find a lot of opportunities there. Now it's time for us to go over to Stefan on the sofa with ISE.